Well, good afternoon, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Um, it's a beautiful day out today, and I'm trying to get around a little bit on the knee here, just start to get it moving, get the blood circulating, and the more I move around, the better it actually feels. Seems like the more I just lay around and keep it elevated with the ice on it, the worse it feels. But you know, I'm hard-headed, and I have to keep moving around, or else I literally go crazy. I mean, literally, I go crazy, and I can't stand taking meds. So what I try and do is, if I stay busy and active, I don't think about the pain. I just don't. And then, in which case, I'm not thinking about the pain. I'm not in pain and don't need the meds. You see my theory here? And so I'm moving around. So a couple things. This morning, my morning video I did about Kelvin Joseph, and I think some people took it kind of the wrong way. I had a lot of people that literally are like, man, give the guy a break. You know, he hasn't even stepped on the field, and, you know, I know he's taking care of his family, and I get all of that. I get all of that. You know, there's a lot of things in life that we must do beyond just ourselves. And the thing about being great requires sacrifice. If you want to be good at something, you have to understand there's only X number of time in life to do everything. If you want to be good at something, you have to put in the time and the work. It's the bottom line. And that can be your marriage, it could be your job, it could be your family, it could be your hobbies, whatever. If you want to be great at fantasy football, you got to spend the time of doing the research of all of these players. Now, when you spend that time has to come from someplace. That means you got to take time maybe from your wife or from your job or other places, in which case other things will falter some. I'm not here to say what's right and what's wrong. The thing about the NFL is the cream of the crop. Very few people in the world will ever make it to the NFL. You have to think about, if you played high school football, about 1% of those high school players go on to play college football. Of that 1% of high school players that goes on to play college, about 0.5% of college players get an opportunity to play in the NFL. And when you think about the Hall of Fame only being a couple hundred players, the chances of making an NFL roster and getting your name and everything else to be well known and to get that ring are very, very different. I'm not trying to kill Kelvin Joseph. When I talk out here, I'm not going to sugarcoat things and try and give you fake juice and tell you everything is going to be good, because sometimes in life, things aren't going to be good. And it's better to deal with reality when it comes than to say, go in everything blind where everything is unicorns and rainbows and think it's all going to work out, and then find out later the shit didn't work. I hope that the negativity that Kelvin Joseph is hearing now wakes him up or reinvigorates him to be the best player he can be. Because ultimately, what I want every one of those Dallas Cowboy players to be the best player that they can be. Seriously. I may kill Jalen Smith, but I'm hoping that Jalen Smith turns that shit around, gets rid of the swipe, and focuses in on making tackles where he's pushing the guy backwards instead of being carried upfield. I don't say this because I'm just trying out there to go ahead and hurt somebody. I'm trying to put out there the real deal. If there's something to worry about, or something for that player to work on, or things that they can do to be better, you don't want to ignore that. You want to deal with that head on. Now, getting COVID, if that's, if he did have COVID because of HEPA rules and things, that is not anybody's fault. But not being anybody's fault still doesn't mean that because it wasn't your fault means that you're going to be ready to play for the season opener. That you're being drafted as a second round pick to be a starter and you're behind the curve. It's a reason, but the bottom line is we need you to be ready to play to be where we want to be. I don't know him. I'm not trying to kill him. Just putting out there that right now, the time to worry about him being ready to be on the field. Maybe I did the title wrong in saying worry about his heart. But regardless. Now, NFLcom, they came out with an article and says that they guarantee, of course, Zeke Elliott will have a better year. And that's not hard to see. I mean, to kind of put yourself out there. This time last year, Zeke Elliott was recovering from COVID. It was June 15th that we found out that he had COVID. And if you saw him in that interview when he's saying he's feeling okay, and you can see he's struggling to breathe, you know that he was not okay and ready to play football. You got to be in tip-top shape and then some to be ready to play football. And if he was unable to work out during that time, and who knows what the recovery is, we've heard about people who've had symptoms for months afterwards. It could have been that half the season Zeke Elliott was dealing with coming over COVID. And also, too, I had an interesting theory. It was the GWOD +1. You're like, what? Great Wall of Dallas +1. And what that was is, when we had the great offensive line, running backs were worth about an extra yard. We took Darren McFadden, who was running 3.3 yards 3 years in a row with the Raiders. Stayed injured. And when we signed him, people were like, that dude's done. He's done. But here's the thing that was interesting. When he came to Dallas, going from the Raiders, where he was getting hit constantly in the backfield, and when you're getting hit constantly in the backfield, you take on more injuries because when you're getting hit in the backfield, generally speaking, you're getting hit by the big guys. You know, the 290s, the 310s, the 320s, the 350s. And when you have those bigger guys falling on you, chances are you're going to have more injuries because they're a lot more weight. When he got to Dallas, and Dallas was opening up those holes, Darren McFadden was being able to get to the line of scrimmage without being molested. And when you can get through the line of scrimmage without being molested, generally speaking, you're getting hit by smaller guys. Linebackers, cornerbacks, safeties. And more of those are more glancing blows or holding on and being carried, like when Jalen Smith tackles you. You don't get as many injuries then, and you're more likely to break tackles when you've got a head of steam on you. Last year was not the Great Wall of Dallas. When you didn't have La'el Collins, when Travis Frederick had retired, when Zach Martin missed 5 games, when Tyron Smith missed 14, when you had guys who were rookies, undrafted free agents, and as Marcus Spears said that in one of the games that we played against Washington, the total amount of games experience on the offensive line was 7 games. Running behind that wall is not the same as running behind the Great Wall of Dallas. Now, I can't guarantee you that we'll be back to the Great Wall of Dallas next year, but with Tyron Smith looking like he's not dealing with any injuries, okay, and that he's already working out and would be ready for training camp, seeing La'el Collins drop 10 pounds and seeming like he is 100% going into training camp. Connor Williams, who was actually our most consistent offensive lineman and in a contract year, you got to feel pretty good about him. And now Tyler Badish is no longer a rookie. And although I do have concerns because we're putting all of our all of our eggs in Tyler Badish's basket, that we don't have any other option really at center. I know Connor McGovern can play some center and things like that, but he doesn't have much experience himself. But even if Tyron Smith or La'el Collins goes down, we're in a better position to absorb that because we've got, of course, Brandon Knight and Terrence Steele got a lot of experience last year, trial by fire, and then we ended up getting Ty Nsekhe from Washington. So your offensive line should be better, a lot better than last year. And let's make no mistake about it, having Dak Prescott and being able to sling the football around changes the dynamic as well, because now you can't go ahead and say, we're not worried about Ben DiNucci, we're going to put 8 men in the box because that guy's not going to beat us. You get Dak Prescott back there with all of the wide receivers and those weapons. That ends up being, we spread the ball around a lot more. And we're able to open up more lanes for Zeke. And back to the final point in there, you look at the workouts that Zeke is having right now, and again, compared to how he was last year at this time, right now, laying up and not able to practice, that he should be in a much better situation. And make no mistake about it, if it is the Great Wall of Dallas +1, and we get that offensive line back, you're talking about 5 yards of carry right now. If he can hold on to the ball because there's not that nerve situation from COVID and doesn't have those fumbles, we're talking about Zeke Elliott being back where he was. I have less worries about Zeke Elliott as opposed to, say, a Todd Gurley. Because Todd Gurley had chronic knee issues, okay? He had an arthritic knee. And that is not a formula for success in the NFL. You got to be in tip-top shape, and you got to be ready for that haul. And if you've got an arthritic knee as a running back, it's not good. It's not good. But I see this offense being able to really get on track. The question will be, more than anything else, is what kind of offense will we be? Will we be an offense that is trying to predicate it on the run, hence Jason Garrett, and throttle all of these weapons that we have in a quarterback that's getting paid $160 million guaranteed? Or are we going to say, damn the torpedoes and full steam ahead, and use all these weapons? Personally, I'd like to see that. I'd like us to basically say, we're going to go balls to the wall. We are young, we are talented, and we're going to try and score at will. And we're just going to wear you the F out. Defense, we've got a couple of waves of players. We don't have to be outstanding, because we're scoring 30 points on Washington, on the Giants, and the Eagles. They don't have the firepower to keep up with you. And before you can worry about anybody else in the NFL, you got to take care of business in your division at home first. And that's all I got to say about that. Hope our Cowboys can take care of business and get our division. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm an old man. Maybe I've had too many pain meds. But that's the way I look at it. And, yeah. Hope you guys tune in tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern, for our live stream. We'll be doing what we do, talking about the Dallas Cowboys. And I will catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.